If you want to understand somebody, you need to walk a mile in their shoes. That's the principle behind the way that we can understand the way customers interact with our marketing, our advertising, and our sales process. That's the customer journey, a tool to help you understand what it feels like to be your customer at each stage in their interactions with you, your brand, and your products. And understanding your customer is vital if you want to make them feel good about buying your products. So, customer journey mapping is a valuable tool for marketers. It's also sometimes known as the buyer's journey. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb inside of his skin and walk around in it. So says the character Atticus Finch in Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, and she's absolutely right. This is how we understand the path that our customers take through the trials and tribulations of learning about our products, engaging with them, buying them, and using them. So, understanding your customer and their journey is valuable to us if we want to sell to them effectively and to serve them well. We often represent the customer journey as a customer journey map, a visual image showing each stage of their path from being interested in our product to becoming a loyal customer. This should help you to understand how to market and sell your services or products, to understand where and why some customers bail out of the buying process or at the last point make the decision not to buy. It helps you to spot the pain points where your customers find it hard, frustrating, uncomfortable, or downright awful to deal with you or your agents. It gives you insights into how your customers make their buying decisions and what it is that triggers them to say either yes or no. Later in the buyer's journey, we see how they use your products or services and the experience they have from that. And finally, we can spot what experiences and interactions help to strengthen their relationship with your brand or help to damage it. Marketers, of course, focus on the early stages of the customer journey, where the customer first becomes aware of the product and is engaging with it. However, marketers would be wise to stop thinking about the customer journey as ending once the customer has bought their product. This is overly transactional. And the fact is that if we continue to understand our customer journey all through their interaction with the product or the service for the whole life of that product or service, then we will get better understandings of how we can market to other customers. And of course, if we can better maintain loyalty of a customer, then it makes it easier to sell more to them and for them to act as an advocate for our products or services. And of course, there is nothing better than having a customer act as a marketer and sales agent for your products and services. And with the massive rise of ratings on internet platforms, this has become very important indeed. So, how do we map a customer journey? Well, let's simplify it down to 4 very basic steps. The first step is to develop your customer or buyer personas, and we looked at that in another video. Once you understand who your customers are, you will be able to then map out the individual journeys for each persona. Now, of course, there will certainly be overlaps in the experiences of different customer personas, but the reality is that the more individually you can map the customer journey, then the more you can target your marketing messages to those individual buyer personas. Second, you need to identify the stages in each customer's journey and plot them out. Here are some typical stages that you might expect to find. Recognizing that they have a need or a desire. Becoming aware of your product or service as something that can fulfill that need or desire. Taking an interest in your product or service and starting to consider it positively. Formally evaluating your product or service. Perhaps they will test or try out your product or service prior to buying. And then there is the purchase itself. Experiencing your product or service as a paying customer and enjoying your product or service to make a loyal customer. Or perhaps not enjoying your product or service and becoming a customer who either feels the need to complain or doesn't contact you and moans about your product or service through forums on the internet. And finally, in the ideal world, your customer becomes an advocate for your product or service, either in forums on the internet or in person by word of mouth. Once you've understood the stages in your customer journey, it's now time to think about the touch points with you, your brand, your agents, and anything under your control at each of those steps in the journey. And finally, at each touch point, you need to find out what they do, how they feel, and what their intentions are. Now, there are many different types of customer journey that you can prepare depending on what your objectives are. The marketing company HubSpot helpfully classifies buyers' or customers' journeys into 4 types. The first is the obvious one, the current state customer journey, which visualizes the experiences that your customers have now. Second is the future state customer journey, which sets up a new idealized customer journey that you're hoping to create. This is often developed in concert with new product development or product refresh, but as a part of a new marketing strategy, you can work with existing products or services and redesign the customer journey. Third is a day in the life, which follows how intensive users of your product or service interact with it during the time when they are owners of that product or users of your service. And finally, there's the service blueprint, which focuses on your side of the interactions with your customers and therefore helps you to refine your internal operational processes that work with your customers. Although this is often used to improve customer service or complaints procedures or repair procedures, it can also be very valuable to marketers as it will give you insights into what your customers value about the product or service and therefore the messages you can put into the market to attract new customers. The final step in working with a customer journey is to understand what it is telling you and to address the pain points for your customers to make it easier for them to pass along the journey, to become a customer, to become a buyer, to become a user, and to become a loyal advocate. Always start at the end of the journey first. Look at the customer care you offer for existing customers who have bought your products and services. What do they find difficult? And help to ease it. If you can get this right, you create loyal customers, and if you get it wrong, you'll have brand enemies. Next, look at the adoption process and fix any challenges that make it hard for customers to start to adopt and use your product or service easily. After that, address the processes that allow your customers to try out and buy your product or your service. And finally, work your way back through the steps of evaluation, interest, all the way to brand awareness. But why not start at the top of the funnel? Why do we always start at the end? Well, the reason is simple. If you start at the top of the funnel and you fix that, you will feed more people into the process. You'll get more buyers potentially. But if they become unhappy customers, you're just increasing the number of brand enemies you have. And of course, if you start at the beginning, you may also increase your marketing costs as you draw more people into the funnel. only to lose them and have those costs wasted because other elements of the customer journey let you down. So the customer journey is a powerful way to understand the experiences of your customers and therefore to better refine your whole marketing and sales and customer care processes to attract more customers. Please do give a thumbs up if you like this video. There'll be loads more great management courses content for you, so please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of it. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep learning.